The next session is Postgraduate Course Hepatitis C. This session will be chaired by Professor Tsutomu Masaki. Professor Masaki, please start.
Yeah, thank you. Let's start postgraduate course HCV. The moderator is Tsutomu Masaki from Japan, Kaga University. The first presenter is Dr. Nekashi Umashi from Turkey. The title is Management of HCV Infection. Please.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me for this kind of very honorable meeting. My task is management of HCV infection for today. Hepatitis C virus infection is a major cause of chronic liver disease, and approximately 71 million chronically infected individuals worldwide. Viral elimination can reduce the risk of hepatitis, hepatocellular carcinoma, liver-related mortality, cirrhosis, and all causes of mortality. So for this reason, the treatment of HCV is mandatory. As you know, hepatitis C RNA have several proteins. First, structural, like core, envelope 1 and 2, and P7 proteins, and non-structurals, NS2, NS3, 4A, 4B, 5A, and 5B. So for the replication, they need protease. As you see here, protease enzyme just break the other proteins like NS4B, 5A, 5B. So if protease inhibitor connected NS3A, then breakdown cannot be realized. So replication already will be stopped. First of all, virus just contact the hepatocyte receptors like collagen and others, and finally fusion and encoding and translation polyprotein processing in the endoplasmic reticulum lumen, and at the membranous web there will be proliferative process, and finally assembling and the transport and the releasing out of hepatocytes. So the targets, because of that, NS3, 4 protease inhibitors, NS5A inhibitors, but we don't really definitely know the action of these blockers. And they also NS5B polymerase inhibitors, nucleoside or nucleotide or non-nucleoside inhibitors. So aim of the treatment is, the goal of therapy is to cure HCV infection, to protect the complication of HCV-related liver and extrahepatic diseases, including hepatic necroinflammation, fibrosis, cirrhosis, decompensation, hepatocellular carcinoma, extrahepatic manifestations, and death. To improve the quality of life and remove the stigma, and to prevent onward transmission of HCV. For the simplified treatment, there are 4 components. So no pre-treatment genotyping, dispensing the entire treatment course at entry, no scheduled on-treatment visits or laboratory monitoring, remote contact at week 4 to assess the AA adherence, and at week 22 to schedule SVR assessment at week 24. So who is the eligible for simplified HCV treatment algorithm? Adults with chronic HCV infection, including persons living with HIV, infected with any genotype, have not previously received HCV treatment without cirrhosis, with compensated cirrhosis as determined by liver stiffness, higher 12.5 kilopascal by FibroScan, higher 3.25 FIB-4 score, non-invasive serological test or liver biopsy, liver nodularity or splenomegaly on imaging, and also platelet count less than 150,000 millimeter cube. Who is not eligible for HCV treatment algorithm? Adults with chronic HCV infection, previously received HCV treatment, hepatitis B surface antigen positive, compensated cirrhosis with end-stage renal disease, current or prior decompensated cirrhosis defined by Child-Pugh score 7, current pregnancy, known or suspect hepatocellular carcinoma, and prior liver transplantation. Who should be treated? All treatment-naive and treatment-experienced patients with recently acquired or chronic HCV infection should be treated without delay. Urgent treatment must be considered in patients with significant fibrosis and clinically significant extrahepatic manifestations. Who should be treated? HCV recurrence after living transplantation, patients at risk of rapid evaluation of liver disease because of concurrent comorbidities, individuals at high risk of transmitting HCV. Treatment is generally not recommended in patients with limited life expectancy due to non-liver related comorbidities. There are several contraindications. Use of certain cytochrome P450 PGP-inducing agents such as carbamazepine, phentoin, and phenobarbital. Also, treatment regimens comprising an HCV protease inhibitors such as grazoprevir, glycaprevir, and voxilaprevir are contraindicated in patients with decompensated cirrhosis, B or C. As you see in this table, there are new drugs, Harvoni, sofosbuvir plus ledipasvir, Vicurax, paritaprevir, ritonavir, ambutasvir, Exviara, dasabuvir, Daclinza, daclatasvir, Olysio, simapravir, Zepatier, grazoprevir plus elbasvir, Epclusa, sofosbuvir plus velpatasvir, Vosevi, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, and voxilaprevir, Mavinet, glycaprevir, and piprantasvir, and also Rebetol, Copegus, and Viron, Viranis, Ribavirin. So, simplified treatment of HCV infection. This is very easy treatment way. All genotypes without or with compensated cirrhosis can be treated by sofosbuvir velpatasvir for 12 weeks. But glycaprevir piprantasvir can be treated by 8 weeks only. If Child-Pugh A cirrhosis and also treatment experienced, those patients can be treated 12 weeks by glycaprevir and piprantasvir. Type of treatment according to genotype and cirrhosis status. Genotype, subtype determination-based treatment. Genotype 1A, 1B, type 2, 4, 5, and 6. No cirrhosis or compensated cirrhosis. Treatment naive or treatment experience. 12 weeks can be treated by sofosbuvir velpatasvir, but 8 weeks only glycaprevir piprantasvir. If the patient have treatment experience, then 12 weeks we should give. Also, grazoprevir elbasvir can be treated by 12 weeks. Genotype 3, no cirrhosis or Child-Pugh 8 cirrhosis. Treatment naive experience can be treated 12 weeks, but the compensated cirrhosis group especially naive or experienced, we should add the weight-based ribavirin for 12 weeks or 16 weeks. Also, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, voxilaprevir can be treated by 12 weeks. Subtype, if we can decide the subtype, 1L, 4R, 3B, 2G, 6U, 6V, or any other subtype naturally harboring one of the several NS5A or RAS, resistance-associated substitutions. So no cirrhosis or compensated cirrhosis, treatment naive or experienced, or again, child-poor cirrhosis, naive or experienced, should be treated by sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, voxilaprevir by 12 weeks. So recommendation for the initial treatment of hepatitis C virus-infected adults, treatment naive without cirrhosis or with compensated cirrhosis by glycaprevir, piprantasvir, genotype 1 to 6, recommended 8 weeks. Sofosbuvir or velpatasvir also for all genotype and pangenotypic can be given 12 weeks. For genotype 3 infection with compensated cirrhosis, NS5A, RAS testing is recommended. If baseline NS5A RAS Y93H is present, add weight-based ribavirin and choose another recommended regimen. Ledipasvir, sofosbuvir, genotype 1456, one without cirrhosis, can be treated 8 weeks, applicable to patients without cirrhosis who are not living with human immunodeficiency virus and whose HCV RNA is less than 6 million. Elbasvir, grazoprevir, again, genotype 1B, 4, 1A, recommended 12 weeks. For genotype 1A infection, NS5A RAS testing is recommended. If baseline RAS are present, then another recommended regimen should be used. Sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, and weight-based ribavirin can be given in genotype 3 patients for 12 weeks. Applicable to genotype 3 infection with compensated cirrhosis and baseline NS5A Y93 RAS. Velpa, voxilaprevir, again, can be given for 12 weeks, applicable to genotype 3 infection with compensated cirrhosis and baseline NS5A Y93 RAS. Treatment naive with decompensated cirrhosis. Velpa, weight-based ribavirin can be given all genotypes for 12 weeks. Low initial dose of ribavirin, 600 mg, is recommended for patients with CTP class 3 cirrhosis, increased as tolerated. Velpa, pangenotypic again, for 24 weeks, applicable to patients who are ribavirin ineligible. Ledipasvir, sofosbuvir, and weight-based ribavirin from genotype 1, 4, 5, 6 can be given for 12 weeks. Low initial dose of ribavirin, 600 mg, is recommended for patients with child through P class 3 cirrhosis, increased as tolerated. And also ledipasvir, sofosbuvir can be given to genotype 1, 4, 5, 6 for 12 weeks, applicable to patients who are ribavirin ineligible. Recommendation for retreatment of hepatitis C virus-infected adults by prior exposure. Soft-based treatment failure without cirrhosis or with compensated cirrhosis. Soft velpa and voxilaprevir pangenotypic for 12 weeks. For example, for genotype 3 infection with compensated cirrhosis, we have to add the weight-based ribavirin if there are no contraindications. Glycaprevir, piprantasvir, again, genotype 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, can be given 16 weeks. Not recommended for patients with prior exposure to NS5A inhibitor plus NH3/4A protease inhibitor regimens. Glycapravir piprantasvir treatment failure without cirrhosis or with compensated cirrhosis. Glycapravir piprantasvir, we have to add the sofosbuvir and the weight-based ribavirin, all the genotypes, for 16 weeks. Sof-alpha voxilapravir, another alternative, can be given pangenotypic and 12 weeks. For patients with compensated cirrhosis, addition of weight-based ribavirin is recommended. Sof-alpha voxilapravir or sofosbuvir glycapravir piprantasvir treatment failure without cirrhosis or compensated cirrhosis. Glycapravir piprantasvir, sofosbuvir weight-based ribavirin, pangenotypic, for 16 weeks, extension to 24 weeks should be considered extremely difficult cases. Genotype 3 infection with compensated cirrhosis or failure following sofosbuvir glycapravir piprantasvir. Alternative regimens, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, voxilapravir, and weight-based ribavirin, pangenotypic for 24 weeks. Sofosbuvir 5A inhibitor-based treatment failure with decompensated cirrhosis. Sof, Velpa, weight-based ribavirin, or ledipasvir, sofosbuvir, weight-based ribavirin can be given for 20 weeks. Recommendations for hepatitis C treatment post-transplantation cases. All patients, 12 weeks, you see, can be given glycapravir, piprantasvir, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, or ledipasvir, sofosbuvir. Recurrent HCV post-liver transplant cases also, sof-velpa, glycapravir, piprantasvir, ledipasvir, sofosbuvir can be given for 12 weeks. Recurrent HCV post-kidney transplants without cirrhosis or with compensated cirrhosis, again, 12 weeks, glycapravir, piprantasvir, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, ledipasvir, sofosbuvir, and elbasvir, crisapravir can be given for 12 weeks. HCV unaffected recipient of liver grafts from HCV viremic donors can be treated glycapravir, piprantasvir, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir for 12 weeks. HCV uninfected recipient for non-liver solid organ from HCV viremic donors also can be treated by glycapravir, piprantasvir, sofosbuvir, velpatasvir, pangenotypic 8 weeks or 12 weeks. So management of unique and key population during pregnancy, case by case also we can treat. Children and adolescents aged higher than 3 years can be treated. Active or recent drug use or concern for infection is not contraindication to HCV treatment. And also, DA treatment for chronic HCV infection is visible within jail and prison settings. So we have treated hepatitis C patients in Euro-Asian areas. Almost 1,224 patients has been treated. And at the LO follow-up, almost 1,183 patients get SVR, 97.93%. Also, we have treated the chronic renal disease patients, 75 patients, sustained virologic response 12 weeks after treatment, 96%. Thank you very much for your convenience.
Thank you very much for good presentation. Are there any questions? I want to ask one question. We sometimes detect HCC from HCC eradication patient. How about follow-up HCV eradication patient?
Thank you very much. This is a very important topic. Recent literature showed us after eradication HCV infection, some literature claim that HCC, hepatocellular carcinoma, will increase. So, but finally, I think also I had one paper that finalized that after eradication, there will not increase any HCC. But we have to follow those patients, even the patients get SVR. We have to follow those patients because there is already continuing risk for the hepatocellular carcinoma. As usual, I mean, every 6 months by ultrasound examination and also alpha fetoprotein.
Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you for your excellent lecture. What is the estimation of the number of patients in Turkey? And do you consider you will eliminate Hep C? Approximately how many treatments per year are you doing?
Okay, thank you very much. Very good question. In Turkey, HCV infection almost 0.5%. So we all know that only 10% of the patients know about their disease, and just 2% of those cases we treated. So we have to do elimination. We have to do a big effort about this matter. Thank you.
Please.
Professor Salimur Rahman, Bangladesh. You have said about the treatment of HCV and pregnancy, case-to-case basis. Can I have a clear-cut statement, either in which situation or should we treat the pregnant patient or not?
This is a difficult question, I think. You know, the patient who had a baby, if the first trimester, sometimes we have to ask the patients the cons and the pros of the treatment. We have to explain. And the patient, if accepted, then we can treat the patients. If later than second or third trimester, then I think it's not so harmful because already baby completed their body, so we can treat those patients.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next presenter is Dr. Saeed Hamid from Pakistan. Simplified treatment guideline and service delivery model to drive elimination of HCV. Please. Dr. Hamid. Oh. Disappear. Okay. Okay. And number after Dr. Hamid and PG23 next presenter community engagement protection of risk and interest and gender equality in HCV elimination. Dr. Rai Wai from China, please.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks for kind invitation from the organizing committee. My topic is the community engagement, protection of rights and interests, and gender equality in HCV elimination. This is Dr. Wei from and Hepatopancreatobiliary Center, Beijing Tsinghua Chang'an Hospital, Tsinghua University. Is my disclosure. So, in the WHO and court, and to achieve elimination of the chronic hepatitis as a public health threat and up to 2030. So, and the indicate the targets, including reducing new cases and also and the days of the chronic hepatitis B and or hepatitis C. So therefore, and the parameters, one target is for prevention to reduce the new case. One and the target is to reduce the deaths. That is the treatment. So therefore, why community engagement, protection of rights, and gender equality? And if we look at the newly released, in the 2022 from by the WHO in its global health sector strategy on respectively and HIV, viral hepatitis, and sexually transmitted infection for the period 2022 to 2030. And regarding for HIV, viral hepatitis, and sexually transmitted disease, if we look at here, they have a few of the detection that work. However, it is mentioned gender equality and also human rights are the major driver. So therefore, we can look at the first example. The first example for the human rights, gender equality, and the community engagement was required by the WHO regarding the validation of elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV, syphilis, and also hepatitis B virus infection. So therefore, and in this document, WHO gives the human rights, gender equality, and the community engagement as the fundamental requirements of elimination of mother-to-child transmission validation. So therefore, it will be required to validate chronic hepatitis elimination as public health threat in future, before or up to 2030. So therefore, let's go to the definition. What is the community engagement? What is the protection of rights? And what is the gender equality? Human rights is indisputable, which requires that interventions implemented to achieve its objective must be in line with the international, regional, and national human rights standards. So therefore, we have to comply with the three aspects, three levels: international, regional, and national human rights standards. And of course, human rights are the both rights of all of us, regardless of the nationality, gender, national or ethnic origin, religion, language, or any other status. And human rights cover a wide range of the rights, from the most basic rights to life, to rights that make life worth living, and such as the rights to food, the rights to education, the right to work, the right to health, and the right to personal freedom. So also it is mentioned all human rights are indivisible and interdependent. This means that the loss of the one set of the rights and precludes the full enjoyment of another set of rights. So therefore, if we talk something for the HCV elimination regarding and human rights, we have to touch these aspects, not only for patients' treatment. So, what is the fundamental principle of human rights? It includes equality and non-discrimination. Just as the Professor Omiti mentioned, the stigma is lot and they have to eliminate. And the second one is participation. The third one is accountability. So therefore, and we should and have the discrimination to the infected people. And otherwise, we also have to invite these infected people and the related person to join these human rights and make decision and do something and do action. Of course, the accountability is very important because the status and the other duty and the barriers are accountable for compliance with the human rights. At this time, the importance of other non-state actors, such as the businesses, in respecting and protecting human rights, is increased being reorganization. So therefore, we have the medicines and different level and different aspects. The second one is the gender equality. And gender equality most time and touch for the women and the child. So promotion and guaranteeing gender equality can significantly impact women's and girls' access to the information and the service. So therefore, we should give the women and the girls an equal service to make autonomous decision about their sexuality and the reproduction. So therefore, and why do that and prevention them from contracting HPV, HCV, and the other sexually transmitted disease. And also, gender equality is particularly important in the context of the vertical transmission, because this and is the sexual and the reproducible hairs and the rights, as well as the hairs outcome of their children. So therefore, gender equality not only touch the women, but also their children. And however, we need some response strategy that including promotion reproductive health, promotion improvement of social and gender regulation, economic and empowerment, education empowerment, as well as the political, very important one, and empowerment. And so, third one, what is the community engagement? When we talk something for the community engagement, we have to separate what's the community, what's the engagement. Community including all groups served by the elimination project. And if we want to eliminate HCV infection, the all groups related to this project should be included for the community. So what is engagement? The engagement, involvement in all aspects of the elimination, advocacy, policy development, project design, and also implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. So from the start to the end, and ensure the opportunity for participation in decision making. So therefore, community and also played a very important role in decision making. So what they can do, and for community engagement, the great involvement is the principal aim to realizing human rights and the responsibility for people living with hepatitis virus. And although better and more effective planning can be ensured, as well as access by infected people to the treatment to protect themselves and their children from hepatitis infection. So therefore, the final goal is the prevention and the infection and the decision making. So how about the progress? What is the challenge and the barrier currently in community engagement, protection of rights, and the gender equality? Actually, the rights-related challenges have ended lot and addressed to law. The lack of informed consent. And some people or some organizations, some medical setting, and still forced of the coercive hepatitis virus testing and treatment, and opposite of the coercive abortion, contraception, and or both control, lack of confidentiality and disclosure of the provided of infected people infections, and what is important, stigmatization and other negative attitude and behavior towards infected persons, and gender-based violence against women and children. Also, we can find lack of access to justice and redress and remedy at the last step. And meanwhile, the rights of infected women not fully guaranteed. And in the medical setting, and we can find refusing to see an infected person in some medical setting, and labeling infection in medical documents, and discussing infected people's condition in public environment, and charging additional fee for service such as sterilization fee, and also scaling infected person for the last surgery and the examination in many people and waiting, and also in the differentiated medical treatment for infected people. And meanwhile, in employment, we still have something not fully guaranteed. A job lost due to infection, because somebody infected in the hepatitis, they lost a job. A job without the medical examination requirement. And regarding the community engagement, we still have some potential barrier. The first is supportive environment. We have the barrier. Social, community, family, even family, and individual stigma or discrimination still exist. Lack of awareness of the contribution of community engagement to health to improve this barrier. Also sustainable. Lack of the processing of social organizations in health and elimination work. Lack of financial support and other things. And also the capacity, the fundraising and project management, knowledge of service, and also availability and accessibility. Few community-based organizations directly involved in the prevention. Also, we have the imbalance geographic distribution of community-based organizations and imbalance distribution of social organizations involved in elimination. So therefore, we have the needs and the barrier, and maybe others should be addressed. So how to do? In community engagement, protection of rights and gender equality, when we want to achieve an HCV elimination. Firstly, I would like to give you some and the tools recommended in the WHO and the documents. The assessment must be include examination of exact laws, policies, and services, and of their implementation. For each issue, specific question addressed both policy and the practice, and together they aim to answer three overarching questions. First one is, do the program and intervention respect, promote, or fulfill human rights? The second one, do the programs and the interventions promote gender equality? And third one, do the programs and the interventions meaningful engage women with? So therefore, we should have the program and the intervention also and touch and these three important the rights, equality, and income community engagement. Actually, and in China, we have done a pilot study in the HCV elimination for community engagement, protection of rights, and gender equality. And due to limited time, I just pick up that one case to share with you. And this is the collaboration with community health center and to eliminate HCV in a low and prevalence region. And the target is HCV elimination. The program is touched primary care provider, education, and collaboration in southern China. And this project and with the 151 primary care providers in 13 community health centers, then you can find And due to needs and the policy and changement, the education outcome improve the primary care provider and training by hepatologists, and also the population screen increased, and you find identity more patients, then and you give the DA treatment also is very effective. And also, in the WHO first document for the validation for the human rights and the gender equality and the community engagement is the elimination of the mother-to-child transmission of HCV and syphilis and also hepatitis B. So we can have some of the lesson learning. And this is the case in Jiangsu province in China. You can find here, it's very clear, that clearly identify the role and the responsibility of various government sectors in providing care and support for and people living with HIV in the Jiangsu province, is including for the health, education, civil affairs, medical insurance, and justice, and the women's and the federation. Regarding the health, they can provide free treatment, counseling, and health promotion for people living with HIV infection. For education, they implemented the policy of the free education for children and also by HIV infection. And for severe affair, timing provide basic living allowance to child and or infected by HIV. So medical insurance enroll these patients in medical assistance scheme, and also provide legal assistance to women living with HIV, and also they have the Women's Federation. They can do something to provide care and support to women and children living with HIV. Other cases is that in the Yunnan provinces. In this Yunnan province, issued a measures of promotion people living with HIV and the social the community-based organizing engagement in the elimination and of mother and to child and transmission. They province that give the some and earmarked funding and for the community-based organization and in an HIV/AIDS prevention and control. Then you can find and supported by the third party. And now and the regulation review, technical support training, and anti and discrimination survey, and strong answer, and the community-based organizing support magazine, and the guide community-based organizing to participate in related service, improve the anti-discrimination measures in health and the facility. So therefore, and also we can find some and the weakness. Here I want to show you, still in some and the local and area, lack fully understanding of the community and the engagement. Just as I mentioned in before, we have to know what's the community, what's the engagement. We have to and touch infected or affected by HIV and syphilis or HBV infection, or the vulnerable of group and poor, ethnic and motorists and the migrants, and also engagement. We touch the 40 in every step, and also in the platform to provide for these people to voice and the documentation to and they write down everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to summarize here. Community engagement, protection of rights, and gender equality are drivers for chronic hepatitis elimination. It will be required to validate chronic hepatitis elimination as public health threat or are basic for validation. Pilot study and lesson learning from elimination of mother to child transmission of HCV, syphilis, and HBV will be helpful. And last but not least, and the more work and collaboration is needed. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beijing and the next March for Apostle 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much for very good presentation. And to hear presentation, I could see truly HCV elimination. Are there any questions? Please.
Congratulations, Mr. President. A question, can you inform us on China, how many Hep C, hepatitis C patients in China, what the number of treated patients, some data for China that we learn from you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, and Tarek, my old friends, my colleague in Journal of Hepatitis, and thank you for the question. And actually, it's very challenging. And in China, we have almost 1.5% population infected with HCV. So, and China is very huge in the population. So therefore, it's so many. So therefore, in the future, if China cannot eliminate HCV, it's difficult for the group to achieve and the final goal to elimination. So, unfortunately, up to now, less than 20% were diagnosis and testing. Among this population and treatment rate is still low. So therefore, how to connect from screening to diagnosis to treatment is a strategy. So therefore, that's the reason why I talk something for the community engagement, because some community organization could help us to communicate with the infected person, because the doctor and the nurse cannot ask the infected to treatment. However, the community organization can communicate effectively with the infected person. So therefore, they will understand and how about the severity of the HCV infection in long-term. So therefore, they be actively and join that. So this is for the patient's health, also for the family health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you very much for an excellent speech. Actually, WHO respect very much about the ACV elimination, but the important point is there's no very accurate, medical insurances all over the world, and I think we need for the government cover all the insurances. How about in China? Do you have the medical insurances covered by government?
Yeah, and as I mentioned for that and the community engagement, without the government support or government buy some service from some an organization, it's difficult. So therefore, and currently in China, and they just released and the document combined with the insurance system, Ministry of Health, even for the CDE and the FDA, and also for the other and the financial ministry. So give the support to the HCV infected person, and also reduce the cost. And meanwhile, you list the DAA into the essential and drug list. So therefore, it's very accessible and payable. The question is, we diagnosis and treat patients still in tertiary hospital. So therefore, next step, I think we can improve to provide the service and in primary care center. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next presenter is Professor Yoshiyuki Ueno from Japan. Please, postgraduate course Hepatitis C. Please, Dr. Ueno.
Thank you, Professor Masaki, to introduce me, and I'm also grateful to Professor Shuichiro Shina to giving me this opportunity. My task today is talk about my perspective about the remaining steps to eliminate HCV infection globally. This is my CY disclosures. So everybody knows that treatment improvement option is during this past decades give us almost cure for all the infected people for HCV patients, except for very rare peoples, we can give cure for all the infected peoples. And so following this achievement, WHO announces the elimination plans of 2023. And global hepatitis elimination goals. So this was about 1.5 million deaths from HCV alone over the next decades. So we need to minimize the chronic HCV infectants, which leads to liver cirrhosis or eventually hepatocellular carcinoma. So what is the definition of eliminations? So this is, I think, the suppression of new infections, 90% reduction by 2030, and reduction of deaths by 65% by 2030. This is, I think, summarized by this WHO's internet, and more specifically, and we need to screen blood donations and preferentially 100% screened by 2030 at any countries or regions. And also, this is very restricted population, but we need to use the safety engineering devices 90% by 2030 in rural settings. And also, specifically HCVs, this is for people who inject the drugs. We need to give them 300 steroid needles every year by 2030. This is also different from each countries or each social healthcare plans, because a lot of difference in culture and country among countries and lawmakers. And also, we need to give some treatment options who is at least 80% are eligible infectants by 2030. So this is our targets or goals. And what we are doing? Well, some regions are going too well, but well, it differs. Of course, we are different by each regions or each countries because of, well, our economic status or maybe social infrastructures. And this is a little bit old, but well, this is the prevalence, worldwide prevalence of Hep B and Hep C. And I'm taking this picture to giving you that there are some countries there are not reliable statistics available. So well, it is easy to say globally, but actually it is very difficult to equalize or giving the same procedure to each regions or countries. So today I'd like to introduce the current status here in Japan. And this is Professor Tanaka, Hiroshima University, published this achievement. So since after the discovery of HCV at the late 1980s, the positivity among the first-time blood donors are decreasing. And mainly, this is due to I think, the more safe syringe or safe blood donations or something. And this is her estimations. This is a hypothetical cohort. aged between 40s to 70s. I'm talking about the men, for example, at the time of 40s, most of the men are stages in chronic hepatitis. But 30 years later, half of these infectants will develop liver cirrhosis or SCC. So women are a little bit milder clinical outcomes, but well, without any treatment options or interventions, we reach nearly half of the patients to more advanced stages. I'm talking about Japan, but Japan has a lot of heterogeneous regions. For example, Hokkaido or through the most south Kyushu Island. But during these, even in Japan, we have a lot of heterogeneity. For example, Hokkaido has more infectants with the elderly populations. But for example, this Kanto area, Kanto is the Tokyo metropolitan area, the infectants are rather younger generations because those metropolitan areas, we have more people who inject drugs. So, but the total Japan, for example, this this is the incident or HCV positivity about I think a rate about 1990s we have almost 4.0% of positivities, but now we are only 0.4% of positivities during these 3 decades. So I think the prevalence of HCV is dramatically decreasing here in Japan. Well, and this is more details, examples, the pictures, and total infectants at the 2000. We have 1.5 million people who infected with HCV, and more importantly, most of them are undiagnosed at those times. And 2011, this time, our treatment option is interferon-based treatment, and the eradication rate was around 30 to 40% at those times. So at that time, we have a national campaign. So undiagnosed population will dramatically decrease during this decades. And nearly half of the patients or infectants are under the treatment or surveillance. And 5 years later, this is the introduction of DAs here in Japan, and the infectants is around 1.1 million. And we have less undiagnosed populations, and most of the infected people are surveillance or active treatment at those periods. So here in Japan, we have some social or program to detect HCV infectant. I think it works, and it will reduce our undiagnosed populations. So what happens in our change of the etiology in liver diseases? Still, at the time of 2020, nearly half of the cirrhotic patients are derived from HCV infections here in Japan. And alcoholic is about 20%, and NASH about 7%. And HBV consistently about 10%. This trend, HBV trend is almost unchanged for these 3 decades. But the percentage of HCV-related cirrhosis is decreasing dramatically from 60% to 40% for this only limited time periods. What happened in the SCC etiologies? Similarly, the background of HCV etiology is decreasing dramatically, and non-viral is increasing its positivity during our HCC populations. And this is a change of our clinical settings. This is local governmental data from Yamagata Prefecture, northern part of Japan. And this is our government gave special social plans. Each infected people need to pay $100 to receive all the medical fees, including imaging and I think laboratory tests, and maybe some receiving drugs. And this is the this green bars shows the number of DA treated people. So after the 2015, the number of DA treated patients are decreasing dramatically because we have all the infected people registered already, and so we gave some curable options. So our infectant pools are decreasing dramatically because we can cure all the HCV patients technically. So what happened in globally? This is data presented last year's issue. And this, I will skip this HBV, but well, still, I think look at this summary. SCC is still increasing in HBV, more about 34%. And I'm talking about HCV, and the prevalence of expected to decrease from 65 million to 52 million. So it that means 20% global decrease. And incident of the chronic CV expected to decline from 1.5 million to 1.3 million new cases. So it means 40% decreases. But however, the mortality is expected to increase from 295 to 200 to 80. So this is a 5% increase, and incident of HCC is also 3% increase. So we have some progress in regard to prevalence and incident. But however, without additional intervention, about almost 12 million individuals will die from next preventable death. So, the author describes the success story from Egypt. I will already introduce later. And so we need to innovate guidelines to funding mechanism are needed to help countries meet international commitments to eliminations. And besides the river aspect, the introduction of these surely bring us other additional, I think, advantages, such as chronic heart disease. After DAS, peripheral arterial disease could be reduced. Also, overall cardiovascular outcome could be decreased. So not only liver disease, introduction or administration of the year could provide several other benefits to the people who infected HCVs. Then, what we need to eliminate HCV, viral hepatitis eliminations. Of course, I think Professor Rai introduced previously, we need a lot of multifactorial issues. Of course, free hepatitis B and prevention of mother to child, and avoiding inequality in diagnosis treatment, and affordable and accessible testing and medications, and public health strategies, as well as those issues. So eliminate HCVs, we need other actions For example, in Japan, we have some problems to eliminate, especially this kind of difficult populations, immigrants and people who inject drugs and men sex to men. But we have some successive role models. This is a WHO announcement made by last October to congratulate Egypt. Egypt has diagnosed 80-70% of people living with HCV and provided 93% of those diagnosed with curative treatment. So this means exceeding the WHO gold target to diagnosing at least 80% of people living with hepatitis C and providing treatment at least 70%. So everybody knows this, our colleagues. I think WHO Director General Dr. Tedros. Egypt has successfully transitioned from one with the highest rate HCV in the world to one with the lowest by receiving the prevalence HCV from 10% to 0.38% in just over a decade. This is the published in New England paper, what they did. About 2.33 million are HCV antibody positive and 1.5 are tested for HCV RNA and diagnosed is HCV viremia is about 1.15 million. So this is 77%. And they give some initiated treatment for this 92% of the populations. And virtually all these more than 90% of these people are getting free from HCV infections. This is final slide. Then what we need to do, we can cure almost all the eligible patients with HCV, as the current speaker said, it was summarized. We need to reach out undiagnosed patients, and we need to approach towards previously neglected groups, people who inject drugs, and men, sex men, and maybe people in prisons. And we need to address socially isolated groups. And finally, this is our sustainable development goals. No one gets left behind, and give them good health and well-being. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for excellent presentation. And are there any questions, please?
So some countries made progress above the WHO requirement, but it is not easy because each country has different social healthcare programs. So I think we need a lot of strong output from the lawyers, stakeholders, politicians, and maybe lawmakers too, because our budget is very limited. We cannot put all the budget only for healthcare systems. Maybe education or other things, other social infrastructures as well. So the program is differ by each countries, but we need to respect those differences. But we give some aid, strong aid for eliminate HCV or HBV in regard of the scientific viewpoints.
I want to ask one question.
Yes.
And the eradication of HCV is very easy, is almost perfectly in
Yes.
the all. And therefore, HCV-related hepatocellular carcinoma and liver cirrhosis is a dramatical disease in Japan. And one is a problem. After HCV eradication patient, we detect hepatocellular carcinoma sometimes.
Yes.
And how about the follow-up of HCV eradication patient?
I think you are right, absolutely right. We cannot put all 0% to the risk of SCC development. We can reduce almost 1/3 of the risk, but the risk is 1/3. It's not, that does not mean zero. So we need to continuously follow, monitor and follow up. I think give them some strategy to give them surveillance. Maybe for cirrhotic patients, at least imaging the test for every 6 months, along with some serum biomarkers such as alpha fetoprotein, etc.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you very much, Professor Ueno. Excellent speech, really. For the HCV elimination, if you diagnose the patients, it's okay. You can easily, make a survival.